Hi guys, it's Stacy with Handmade by Stacyj. Today I'm going to show you how to create the stitches that make the linked in lace wrap. Now this is a beautiful wrap. It's very large. It's like a statement piece. When it's all blocked out, it measures 84 inches by 15 inches or 216 centimeters by 38 centimeters. And that's without the fringe. There is some fringe on this because I like fringe when we have little points here at the tips of our pieces. But for the pattern itself, it's just worked over 24 stitches and it's got a 12-row repeat. So what I'm going to do today is just show you how to work that stitch. We're not going to work this whole shawl. Now the yarn that I used is the King Cole Mulberry Soft DK. And this yarn is absolutely amazing. This stuff is 70% baby alpaca, 30% mulberry silk. And it's just, I swear, when I was knitting with this, it was like knitting with a cloud. It just was so soft on my hands. So I used about 6 skeins or 6 hanks of this. Now, know that when you do use this, you will have to roll this into a ball. So you will need a yarn winder, or if you have another way of doing it, some people do put these across the back of a chair and then they roll it into a ball. But you will have to take care of that, otherwise it does get tangly. However, King Cole does something pretty amazing, where when you put it together, usually when you go to unwind a hank, you have knots you have to cut. They have this set up where it's just a slip stitch or a slip knot. So all you do is pull it and it comes out and there's nothing to cut, so you don't waste any yarn. Now, when you are working with this and joining a new ball, I highly recommend doing the rush and join method. So that way the new ball goes in with the other one. You don't have any ends to weave in, but also because this is so soft, it really helps hold it all together. Now the yarn I'm going to show you with today, because this is on a light background, I'm actually going to be using a different yarn for the demonstration. So I'm going to be using the Baby Super Ball DK by King Cole. And seriously, huge thank you to King Cole, because they did provide the yarn for this project and for the tutorials, because I am an ambassador for King Cole, and it's so easy to be an ambassador for them because I love their yarn so much. But for today's demonstration, I'm going to show you using the Baby Super Ball DK because I think this color will show up a lot better. And I'm also going to be using the size of needles needed for the shawl, which is the US size 9 or 5.5 millimeter, and the 22 inch or 55 centimeter circular knitting needle. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, the stitch pattern itself for this wrap works in multiples of 24, but because I'm just going to show you that stitch pattern, I'm going to cast on 26, so that way I have an edge stitch on each end, and then we have the 24 that we're working in at the center. Okay, so for a long tail cast on, you typically just go in, grab the yarn, pull it towards you, and there's your cast on. The German twist is a little bit differently, so there's an extra step involved. So you're going to go under right there, and then you're going to come through, grab the yarn, and pull it through. Now I'm going to do that again, nice and slow. So you go under, go through that loop, and you're going to grab that yarn tail and pull it through. So let's do that again. It's a little bit confusing at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's my favorite cast on method. So we go under, through, grab that yarn, and pull it through. So under, through the loop, or that's around your thumb, grab that yarn, just going just like so, pull it in. And then I'll show you as it goes a little bit quicker. Actually, for me, it's harder to explain than it is to actually do it because it becomes like a muscle memory. Okay, so we're going to do a total of 26 for the demonstration. So you'll notice as we move on with the tutorial, I took the cables off of my needles, mainly because it likes to rub up against this background. It drives me crazy, and it'll be a little more pleasant for you as well. And since we're only dealing with 26 stitches, it's really not a big deal to be without the cable for the demonstration. So let's go ahead and get started with row 1. Now, because I'm doing an edge stitch, I'm just going to begin and end with a knit one. And now we're going to begin our pattern repeat. So we're going to start by knitting 1. And then we're going to yarn over and we're going to knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we're going to do a slip, slip, knit. So slip, slip, as if to knit. I'm going to put those stitches back on that left hand needle. And I like to just leave my right needle in the back because we're going to knit those two together through the back loop. Just like so. Then we're going to purl 1 and knit 1 3 times. So purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit. And then we're going to purl 1 more. Then we're going to do another decrease, which is the knit 2 together. So we're just going to knit these next 2 stitches together. And then we're going to knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to yarn over and knit 2. It's 1, 2. And then I'm at my end, so I'm going to knit 1. And I want to explain something to you that you'll notice with the pattern. So you're always going to be beginning with a knit or purl, and now the yarn over. And then whatever is between that and the next decrease is always going to be either a knit 5 or a purl 5. And then you're going to be working in a middle section where you're essentially creating a triangle, where first we started off with 7 stitches, the next row it's going to become 5, then 3, then so you'll see what I mean as we move along. Then you'll do another decrease. You'll work 5 of either knits or purls. You'll do your yarn over, and then you'll do more knits and purls. It'll make more sense as you do it, but it's an easier way to actually remember where you're at in the pattern as you do it. So row 2, as the wrong side, we're going to begin with that edge stitch. So we're going to just knit 1. And now we're going to begin by purling 3. And this is the beginning of the pattern repeat. So purl 1, purl 2, purl 3. That last purl is in that yarn over from the previous row. Then we're going to yarn over and we're going to purl 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then purl 2 together. So just purling these 2 stitches together. Then we're going to work a purl 1, knit 1 2 times. So purl, knit, purl, knit, and then you're going to purl once more. Now we're going to slip, slip, purl. So we're going to slip the next 2 as if to knit. So that's 1 and 2. Then we're going to put them back on the left-hand needle, and we're going to purl these 2 together through the back loop. So bringing the yarn up front, inserting our needle from the back, just as so, between those 2 loops, and then bring that yarn in, and there's your slip, slip, purl. Now we're going to purl 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we're going to yarn over and purl 2. So purl 1, purl 2, and then knit 1 just for the end. And that's the pattern repeat for row 2. For row 3, we'll begin by that first knit for the edge stitch. And now we begin the repeat where we're going to knit 3. So 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to yarn over and knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, Then we're going to slip, slip, knit. So slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit, and then knit the two together through the back loop. Then we're going to purl one, knit one, and purl one. Then we'll knit two together. Then we're going to knit 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll yarn over and knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then knit that last edge stitch. For row 4, I'm going to knit that first edge stitch. Then we begin the pattern. So we're going to begin by purling 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to yarn over, purl 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now purl 2 together. Whoops. Be sure to get your yarn. So purl 2 together. Then we're going to purl 1. Then slip, slip, purl. So slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit, back on that left hand needle, yarn up front, and then purl those 2 together through the back loop. Then purl 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we'll yarn over and purl 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to knit that edge stitch. Now row 5 is the last of the lace part where you're going to be working with yarn overs and the purling on one side with the decreases, the knitting on the other side with decreases. So this is the last row where you'll be doing that sort. So we're going to do that first edge stitch. And this is the row where we're going to close up that triangle. So for the pattern repeat, we begin by knitting 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yarn over, knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to slip 1 purlwise, knit 2 together, and then we're going to pass that slip stitch over the stitch we just did. So pass that slip stitch over the knit 2 together. Then we're going to knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yarn over, knit 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and knit that last edge stitch. Now you can see that the little triangle section is now closed up. That's where that final decrease was. So you have that little triangle section with a little ribbing right in the center of that. And then you have this section where you will always have those 5 around those yarn overs. So now let's begin the part where it looks like the links. So we're going to turn and we're going to knit that first stitch. Then purl to the last stitch. So the very last one you'll knit. So we'll just purl across. And then that last stitch, just knit. I'm going to turn. And for row 7, this is what's going to create that link look. So we're going to knit that first edge stitch. Then we're going to have the yarn up front. We're going to slip the next 2 stitches purlwise. then purl. See, just like so. And we're going to do that again. So yarn up front, slip the next 2 stitches purlwise, and then purl. And you'll continue doing that until you're down to the last stitch where we're going to knit. So yarn up front, slip 2 purlwise, and purl. And if you want to speed this up, you can always just go like so, where you just grab those 2 stitches, because you are doing it purlwise, so doesn't really matter. Just be sure not to get super tight when you're doing that, because you do want it to have a little bit of give. And then on the last stitch, just knit that edge stitch. Now, for rows 8 through 11, you're going to repeat rows 6 through 7 2 more times. So I'm going to repeat those. So that's just where you knit 1 and you purl across. And then row 7 is the one we just did, where you knit 1 for your edge stitch. And then you will slip 2 purlwise with the yarn in front and then purl the next stitch. So just repeat those, and I will be right back with those repeats so we can finish this up. So I finished repeating rows 6 and 7 2 more times. So now you can see how it has that linked look, and you can see pretty easily where that little triangle is with the ribbing, those 5 stitches that go that way, the 5 that go that way, with the decreases here, and then the increases with the yarn overs. So it's a really, really pretty stitch. So to finish this up, we are going to repeat row 6 one more time, where we're just going to knit that first stitch and then purl across, and then we will bind off. So I can show you how that is done. Whoops. We don't want to do that. We want to purl. So I'll meet you at the end of this. Now that I have finished row 12, to continue moving on with the shawl, you'll continue repeating rows 1 through 12 until your piece measures about 60 inches. When you're using the King Cole yarn, because it has those natural fibers, when you block it, it really grows, and that's what brought it up to about the 84 inches. Like it blooms beautifully. Remember, the free directions are on the website, so you can pick those up there as well. But to do the bind off, it's super easy, especially when you consider this being lace. You're simply going to bind off knitwise. So bind off knitwise, and it's on the right side. Now when you're working the pattern, you'll notice at the very bottom part, after it tells you to repeat rows 1 through 12 until the piece measures 60 inches, it will tell you to repeat rows 1 through 6 once more. And this is why. So if you bind off after you finish row 12, you end up with a flat bind off. If you repeat rows 1 through 6, where you're just doing this part before you get to the link part, then you're going to get the points. So here's the shawl so you can see what I'm talking about. So here is one end where you have the points, and then here is the other, and this is the wrong side facing. So the points, I think, are what help give it that extra little oomph. And I mean, if you want it to be flat on one side, you could do this. I just don't think it's as impactful as when you have both ends with the points. But that is it for the shawl. Remember, you can get the free pattern on my website, www.handmadebystacyj.com. And I will be back with more tutorials for you shortly. Thanks a bunch. Happy knitting. Bye-bye.